stock market, metals, and the mining stocks, guys, are frothy, bubble territory. And you know what happens with bubble territory, right? We end up getting really significant drops in the markets. And that's exactly what I'm going to be walking you through today. And I'm not just going to be walking you through the update today. I'm going to be teaching you exactly how you should be reading the market and understand the truth about these markets so you can make much better decisions in your own trading from moving forward. And you'll be able to see the reasons why when you start to utilize these techniques, you can start to really put the odds on your side even. I'm going to walk you through exactly like that so you can understand these markets, because these markets are like an energy source in these markets. They're an energy, right? Just like us humans, we're energy. We're using energy, right? And then we're building energy. We're using energy and building energy. So one thing that, before I get started, guys, I'm actually running a webinar today. If you'd actually like to learn my actual trading system that I use, I'm going to be teaching that on my webinar today. That's that first link in the description. Go register for it. And you'll be able to see all the details of exactly how I trade the markets. Now, I want to start off with a bit of a blank statement here first, okay? One thing that is so important to understand is these markets are like an energy field. It's like us humans, okay? Now, take me, for example. Lately, I've been training a lot harder. Well, actually, for the last 5 years, I've been doing a lot of boxing training, right? My last boxing fight was many years ago, and I actually want to do another fight, okay? So utilize that as an example. And what tends to happen here is this, right? So if I move this up here, what tends to happen here is me as, for me to go for my boxing training, right? For me to go for a training, preferably I've had a good amount of rest, right? So the market's actually rested. So I've actually rested. I haven't been moving a lot. I've been sort of just resting, right? I'm resting because what? Because I'm about to go for an intense boxing training session. Intense. We're talking butt kicker, sweating ass, training session, okay? But bear with me. This is how markets work if you think about this in a whole lot. Once I start to understand this, game changer. And you'll be able to see why the markets are probably getting a bit frothy, and they're probably going to start to get a bit tired. They need a bit of rest here. And then they rest here for a while. So same for me, right? I rest for a bit and I'm resting. And then what ends up happening, I go through what? Now let's start trading, right? And then instead of us building energy through here, right? Instead of me building energy where I'm not using a lot of energy, I'm now what? All this energy that I built up, I'm now starting to get to the point where now I've built up enough energy, I've rested, right? And now I need to go now I can actually have enough energy for what? To go and start to take on. And now I'm using all that energy to start to push and push and push and push. But then after a period of time of that training session, guess what's going to happen, right? Now, if it's a long, intense training session, I'm probably going to have to need maybe 1, maybe 2 days, right? If I have a really good intense training session, I probably need a couple of days rest. But if it wasn't an intense training session, I don't need that much rest, right? Now, what does that mean in this sense? It means like if I did this here, okay, cool. Well, I need a little bit of rest here, and then we end up going through what? Then I end up going through what? Just a little bit of a drop here, right? Then I drop off. I'm not pushing anymore. I'm just resting for a bit. But if you look at this here, what is this? Where I was just a week ago, down here with my boxing skills, my boxing training, because I trained so hard here, even though I'm resting, guess what? My level of skills is just slightly getting better, right? And this is where I'm backing off a bit, I'm resting, and then I'm getting going again. Getting going, right? And this is how the markets work on the deepest level. And once you start to look at the markets like that, you start to see, where we are in the cycle of things, right? We never know exactly where the high and low are going to be in the markets. But if we've been in one of these energy building phases for a while, then we know very soon we're probably going to break out and start to go through an energy building phase. This is energy building. Then we're likely to start to go through what's called an energy using phase, where we're releasing that energy and we start to go up. Now there's going to come a period of time, if we've been releasing that energy for a while now, just like my boxing training, I am what? I am probably like I need some rest in the markets. And that's how the markets work. And if I bring up all markets through here, even the stock market itself, if I bring up the stock market and we bring up here, do you see how this is just what markets do, right? They go through these different phases, energy using, which means the market's moving. And as you can see, look at this here. Look at all this up, up, up. And we have little pullbacks through here, right? But you can see the overall movement is up, right? Now, that's not every day. This is a weekly chart as well, too. But if you see it from a big, massive, big overall cycles, these are weeks through here. That was up for about 2 years. But guess what happened after a few years? We actually went through a really big move, right? That's like me going through an intense training camp for 3, maybe even 6 months. And then I fight. Guess what happens after that? I don't need 1 day off. I don't need 1 week off. I'm probably going to take a whole month off, right? I'm sick of boxing training. I'm done with that, right? I'm exhausted. I've been cutting weight. I've been training hard, right? I need a lot longer time off. Just like fighters do, right? And then so therefore, instead of taking a week off or a few days off, I now need to take a month or sometimes maybe in a couple months just to refuel, right? I need to regenerate my energy, regenerate my enthusiasm, regenerate for you guys that are fighters. You probably know what I'm talking about. And then after a while, I'm ready to start to build back in again, right? And we start to go back up and then we come back down. And then we go back up, 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 up. This overall movement, while we're getting small little dips through here, is what? Now we go through another energy using phase. And then sometimes the market or I can become so tired that I actually just crash. Like I crash so hard, instead of me just having rest, the very next day I feel like I've been hit by a Mack truck. Again, for you guys that train and sometimes train hard, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Some days you wake up the next day, you're like, man, what did I do yesterday? My whole body is hurting. I'm exhausted. My body just wants to sleep the whole day. It doesn't even want to get out of bed, right? You've been hit by a Mack truck. But what happens there with that, guess what ends up happening? You might get a little bit sick, then you're forced to stay in bed. You get a lot more sleep. You might get 10 or 12 or 14 hours sleep that day with naps that happen throughout the day. And then then guess what? And now you get ready to go back again. So these markets, and when I'm looking at these markets, now, by the way, this here is from the famous trader called Gann. Gann is about price and time. And this is what helps me identify really good trading setups, but understand where we're also in the markets right now as well too, so we can see what's likely to come. So there's 2 different phases, right? There's energy using. We're using energy to build it up, but eventually we're going to run out of energy, right? And then we're going to go through now an energy building phase. This is just how all markets work on the deepest level. So if we've been in an energy using phase for a while, right, as we can see, say for example, just on the stock market here, as you can see, we've been going up for a while, right? Now, what that means is we've been in this energy building phase, energy using phase. I'm not calling the exact top. No one knows the exact top of these markets, but what we do know is this, is that if we've been going up now for many months just straight to the upside, we've been using a lot of energy, right? The market, there has been lots of money been pouring in. We've been using a lot of energy to buy it up. We don't know where the exact top's going to be, but we do know roughly that after all this time, most of the time, we're probably getting roughly around maybe even the top 20% left. If there is going to be any more upside here, maybe for another couple of weeks, it's probably going to be very short-lived before we eventually go through what? Another one of these, another one of these, another one of these. You see what the market does? So I'm not all about calling the top. I'm all about saying, get ready for what's coming. And we know what's coming, right? We don't know exactly when that thing is going to come, but eventually we're either going to do what? We're either going to do 2 different things. There's 2 different phases that these things called price and time or energy using, right? The first one is where the market will go straight up, but then when the market goes through the energy using phase, when it starts to go through the energy building phase, sometimes it'll just go sideways like this. It'll rest. It won't drop, but it rests. It's still going through an energy building phase. Sometimes it'll go down like this here. So that's scenario number scenario number two. And sometimes the market will have a bit of a freak out, or you will just absolutely crash, and sometimes the market will just do something like that. But generally speaking, and most of the time, either of these are around about a 50% from the start of the move to the height of the move before we then continue back up, right? Just like this swing here. Look at this here. This swing low to swing high, it came down to the 50% of the move, which is just a nice healthy correction in a very big bull market. That's why I'm saying, if you guys are looking at more bull markets right now, yes, we are in big bull markets, but understand what a bull market is. A bull market is higher lows. So even on the weekly chart, if we've been in a very strong move for say 2 years, a very big bull market is higher lows. So it's just going to come down for maybe for a 6 months or 12 months to create the next significant higher low. Then we're likely to have a big rally again overall to the upside. And look at that there. From the low to the ultimate low to the ultimate high point, it came down to the 50% again. And then now we're continuing back up again. So as you can see here, reason why I say what I say about where we are right now and in all these markets is just that. We've been in this energy using phase for quite some time. And yes, we may have a little bit more upside to come, but when we're now trying to chop at the bits for the last maybe 10 or 20% before we eventually go through one of those phases. And this even happened with gold, right? And when you start to use I use the 24 for that. Look at here. This even happened with gold. This happened with gold all along. So you can see with different phases here, where the market goes up here, energy using, and then it went through an energy building phase. They went through an energy using when the market went up, 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 up. And eventually when we get tired and the market's going to run out of energy, we are going to go through this. Even gold does this. And then after a while, and this is now a couple of months, we go up for 2-3 months through here, right? And then we end up going through another couple of months of resting when the market rests, right? But as you can see here, this here is around about 3 months, 3 months of energy building, 3 months of energy building, 3 months of energy building. Then we had a massive move. We actually had a lot bigger move, didn't we? See how we actually had a lot bigger move here? So this move here, instead of lasting a couple of months, this lasted about 3 months or more. Very strong move. So because remember I said before about me fighting, right? If I'm going to camp, and if I'm fighting, if I have a lot bigger, harder training, then I need a bit more time to rest, right? Because the harder I train, the more energy I've used, the more my central nervous system and everything's being taxed so hard, then guess what? Now I need what? Now I need a bit more time to rest. That's the way the market works. We had a couple of months to the upside and about 2-3 months of sideways movement. Couple of months, 2-3 months. But because this move here was so much bigger, so much longer, we actually had around 4 months of sideways movement to rest before we're starting to break to the upside now. It makes sense with me? So this is what markets do overall, and now we're going for another move. But then there is another thing. There's another thing called this is now what's called a very big strong bull market, right? Big bull markets go through these phases. They'll go price and time, price and time. But then overall, what ends up happening is that's the small picture there, right? That's the small picture. Now we can go through. Now that's the weekly chart. Now we can go through that. What typically happens is that we typically go through those phases when we're in a big bull market like that. We go through those phases, but eventually, what ends up happening is that we go through these really big bull phases for a while. As you can see, this is a big bull phase for a while, for about 2 years. And then we had a good correction, a big bull phase for about 2 years. And then we go through one of these big corrections, We've been in a very big bull phase for about 2 years about 2 years. So there's a high probability, even after a very big bull phase for a couple of years, we go through one of these big corrections here. Big bull phase, we go through a big correction. Big bull phase, we're either going to go through what? A sideways phase over the next, again, I'm not calling the top right now, right? But what we do know is that we're getting very close toward the last 20% if we have more upside. What you don't want to do is then it's been alert, right? And then we go down through, and then we could even see a move down through there, which I'm expecting, by the way, next year. So if you see how this is how all markets work overall, and they go through these very big, massive swings and phases. So when I bring up this level, that's gold through there. So now you understand why I'm saying that even if gold has a little bit more upside, guys, this is the end of gold. This last little push, if we do get more push to the upside, which by the way, it looks like it's starting to fail through here really quickly. Look what happened today. Look at this here. It actually tried to break up, and now it actually broke to the downside. If we break this this low level through here, if we break this level all through here and we come back down, look at this here. That's now a false breakout. Look at this here. See how it broke to the upside but failed? If we break this level, expect a very big sharp turn, and this may be the ultimate high before we start to see an overall big, massive correction. So how I'm utilizing these markets and why I call the way I call and what I do is just that. Now, here's something I want to share with you. How I know we've now done too much of the energy using phase where the market's moved too far is I utilize the moving average. So let me bring this up here. So as you guys, if you saw my last video a couple of days ago, I talked about the mining sector and how I got out of silver and gold, okay? Now, let me explain something here. Firstly, let's go to the energy using and energy building phases. Let's go to the mining sector, okay? And I'll go to say SIL because this is the one that I was in. I'm out now. But let's go through to two different things here, okay? The first thing is what? The energy using and energy building phases. Remember how big bull markets work. Even in a very big bull market, we go through those phases, right? We talked about this on the stock market. Even if I bring up, say, things like even the crypto market, I'm trying to show you this is how all markets work. And once you can start to utilize this on all markets, you can start to get a much better chance of where we're at right now, right? And maybe not. Should I say, it can help you have a much better understanding of where we're at right now, right? Even Bitcoin. What has Bitcoin done, right? Let's go back to the weekly chart. Look at this weekly chart. See, this is how all markets work. No matter what you do, you go through these different phases, right? We go through what? We go through, if we have a very big vertical move, then we end up getting what? Eventually we end up getting what? A correction back to the mean. Howard Marks, one of the really successful investor, it says that, right? And you can see this is what markets do. So because this is how markets work. So because this is how markets work, we know we go through these different phases. We go through an energy using phase for a while. And if the energy using phase is quite vertical, then we end up going through what? A bit of an energy building phase. The energy building phase could be a correction and generally a revert back to the mean. Look at this here. Very strong move up for a while, for like 12 months. And then we actually went through an energy building phase. Then it built energy. Then it went to get going again. Energy using, energy building, and so on and so forth. See, this is how markets truly work, right? So that's the first thing I must say. If you understand that concept, then you'll understand why if I squeeze my charts up, say, for example, on SIL or any of these markets, you know there's two different phases, right? There's energy using and energy building. If the market's been overall on this weekly chart been going up through all this time, basically since the start of the year, this is quite a big move, right? And even if this is not the top in this move, right, SIL, we know we're getting very close to that top because we've just been using so much energy that what? We've been using so much energy that eventually, even back through, look at that big move to the upside, and then look what happened. We eventually got what? A revert back to the mean. And then we go through there. So I'm not calling for this here, by the way. I do believe this is the start of a big bull market. But when I say that, when I say at start of a big bull market is higher lows, right? That's what a bull market is. Higher lows, higher highs. So if that's the case, where's the higher low here? There is no higher low. What has to happen to form the higher low? Oh, it has to come down. Then we get the higher low. And then we go back up again, right? Again, this is how all markets work. Look at the S&P 500, for example. Look, down, up, higher low, down, up, up, down, higher low. It goes up, it comes down to form the higher low. That's what a big bull market is, right? So when we're going up for a while, that's not a big bull market. That's called a bull leg in a bull market. So if I go back to say, for example, SIL, you can now see we've been in this very big move to the upside. You know what's coming soon. This is not just going to keep going up. That's called FOMO. That's called greed. That's called you're going to lose a lot of money. So again, my job is just to see, okay, we've been in this energy using phase for a while. I don't know when this is going to end, but I'm not going to be greedy. I'm going to call it a day and say thank you very much. Hence the reason why I got out of my positions a few days ago. But I'm trying to share with you exactly, see what I'm using here. I'm using nothing but just the chart here. There's no indicators. There's nothing about unemployment data or story or the Fed or the central banks or this time's different. See, nothing, no. The truth. Because once you start the truth, you start to see that most of the time, you start to see what's coming. And then over the next, say, 2-3 months, when this eventually does start to happen and we start to get a bit of a pullback over the next couple of months, because you know that's coming, that's what markets do, this is the truth. One, you're waiting for it, and two, you're not caught off guard. Like most traders don't understand this stuff, when the market does start to pull back, and all the pullback is what, at the end of the day, it's just a up, down, high, low, up, down, high, low, up, down, high, low, and away we go. Because what is it doing then? Then it's just what? Making the trend. That's making the high low. That's what trends are. So as the market's pulling back, you're like, oh, I was waiting for this because we just used too much energy. We're just rebuilding now. And two, when the market comes down, you're excited because you're like, oh, I've actually been waiting for this because this is just the pullback we're looking for. And there's a massive probability that this pullback might last a couple of months, but it's just now refueling for another big move to the upside. I've been waiting for you. And then you stay calm. When you stay calm, you make good decisions. Right? And so you can see that through it. Now, the next thing that I look for is, as you can see, and it's not an exact science, right? It's more like an art form, but notice something here. Notice the market doesn't get too far away from it doesn't get too far away generally from the moving average before we start to what? Come back to it. Notice every single time, whether we're going down, we come back to it. Whether we go up, we come back to it. Right? So generally speaking, it doesn't get, look at this here, too far away. That was sort of the too far away there. That was sort of too far away there. See what happens here? We generally don't get too far away before we do what? In anything. If we're going down, we end up coming back to the moving average. If we're going up, we come back to the moving average. Come back to the moving average. Look what's happening right now. Look how far away we are now from the moving average. Again, even if we did have a bit more upside, even if the market did hold here on, say, for example, SIL, and we got to 70, 75, you know we're towards that last little bit, right? That's like me doing a massive training session and I'm exhausted and I've got a little bit left in the tank, but oh man, I'm tapped, right? And then the coach says, right, one more round. And you're like, oh no, I'm so tired. And then you push and you push. And then guess what happens, right? Big fat donut on your, right? Big fat donut. And then you get that. So see how I'm building this here. One, there's trend analysis, higher lows and higher highs, because that's what a big upward trend is. That's a big bull market. So you know that, step one. Step two, within that big bull market, you go through phases, right? You go through energy using phase, and after a while, after using energy, we get tired. We need to rebuild energy. And then we go through an energy using phase, rebuild energy. Then we go through another energy using phase. And this time, the energy building phase might be like that. And then we go through, and the market swings. Energy using, energy building, energy using, energy building. So you know right now, two things. One, it has to come back to form the high low, because that's what a big bull market is. If this is going to be the start of a really big bull market for the next 5 years, it's going to come down and form the high low. One. Two, we've been going straight up, so we've been using a lot of energy, and you do know eventually we're going to run out of energy. We're going to run out of energy, so we need to refuel. And three, when we get too far away from the moving average, the market tends to at least pull back to it. And that's at the end of the day, this is called price and time. But price is when the market gets too far away from the moving average, we're now getting pretty tight. Now, this is a weekly chart, so it's not like, some of you muppets in the chat box like, tomorrow it doesn't go down. Like, John, you said it's going to go down. Like, stop it, you little muppet. Listen to me. I'm trying to talk to you about what's likely to happen over the next few months. So as this is unfolding, whether it goes up a little bit more than it does that or starts now, you're saying, oh, I understand why we're doing what we're doing, so we can sit back and not freak out, right? Like most people are emotional with these markets. We don't want to become emotional. We're going to step back and see the big picture, right? See the forest from the trees. So as this is forming, you're like, oh, I understand why we're dropping here. We were waiting for this, right? And I'm teaching this here so you can have the power back hands. And that's why, look at SIL, right? SILJ, look how far away we are from the moving average and look how much we've been going straight up. Eventually, when we go straight up, even back, look at this back through here. We went up, we had a little pullback, and we had another month to the upside, but then what came? Very big significant drop, which is what? Just a 50% retracement from there to there. See what I mean? Even this big move through here to here, look what ended up happening. We ended up going through about actually a lot of time there, right? So don't be surprised if we're getting very close towards the end. We're going to get maybe one of these guys or one of these guys, which means, right, after the very big vertical move away from the moving average, we either get a sharp drop, 50% retracement, or B, we go up through there and then we end up going through this. We're going to go through this here, which by the way, that there was 1 year. 1 year. That's what I'm saying right now, guys. We're getting towards the end of this here. We could actually go through a good 6 to 12 months of pullback soon. Not just in the mining sector, by the way. GDXJ, same thing. Look how far away we are from the moving average. Look at how vertical we are, right? Same for the GDX. It's all the same thing. So while we don't know exactly where the top's going to be, that's not the point. We have a really good understanding of what's happening in the markets right now, and we're not relying on story like central banks or inflation or interest rates. That's story. This is the thing we can actually use to help us become much better traders in the markets. And then we start to use things like this, like even gold, right? We know gold. Look at gold. Look where gold is right now. And isn't it interesting? Look what happened with gold. What happened with gold? We ran up, we came down. We ran up, we got too far away from the moving average, we come back to it. Too far away from the moving average, came back to it. Way too far from the moving average, come back to it. See what I'm saying? So when we see the stock market right now, or even the mining sector, some of these big mining sector, big moves, and we're too far away from it, we know there's going to be what? Those things are going to come back and have another, it's like you've missed your partner for a while. You've gone on a big trip for a while, right? And you've missed your partner. What's eventually going to happen? You're going to miss her, right? You're going to miss her. Some of you guys are going to say, no, stay away. Right? But you're going to miss her. So eventually you guys are going to come back and kiss each other for a while. How that happens, we don't know. Is it sideways? Is it a drop? But we got to go what? You've been on a big trip for a while. You've been going. What ends up happening even when you go on a big trip for a while? Even if you do go on a holiday for a few weeks, guess what happens? You miss home, right? Oh man, I've been going for the last 2 weeks. Even though it's been a holiday, oh man, I just miss my bed, and I miss a good home cooked meal, right? Right? We go through that phases. So because of this, when we go through these phases, now you can see the reason why I said what I said a couple of days ago. It's not because I'm making something up. I'm not guessing. These techniques work again and again. If we've been using a lot of energy, especially like here since 2025, I don't know when the top's going to be, but we can step aside. So when we do start to get that correction, especially for a trader purpose, right? And by the way, there is a difference between a trader and investor. Don't mix them up. This is trading, right? Trading is like getting in, holding for a couple of weeks, holding it for a couple of months. That's called trading the markets. You guys that are long-term investors has nothing to do with you. Long-term investors go through the swings. A long-term investor goes up and then it goes through that there and then goes back up and go. This is you being buy and hold for long-term. So I'm talking about technical analysis, short-term movements over the course of, a good 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. So please don't mix them up. So when you're seeing this level here, right, and you go to the things like even the stock market, right, once again, look how vertical the stock market is. Vertical move, and again, if I just bring this up on a simple basis, let's go back to this chart here so you can see what I'm looking at. Right, take off the moving average. Once again, now you can understand if we just remove everything from the charts and start to look at these markets from here, you'll start to see how, look at this here. Every single time, big move up, look what's happening here. So I'm not calling the top right now in the stock market, right? We may not be in the top, but that's not the point. No one knows where the top's going to be. Stop trying to pick a top, right? I'm trying to say we do know very soon there's going to be a good correction and this move is going to end. Just like gold, right? Just like gold. Eventually, even if I go to this point through here, eventually, after a very big, nice, good move, let me bring this up to here, right? eventually, I'm trying to show you this here. Even if we go for a very nice move, look at this here, 1, 2, 3 months, eventually we're going to go through what? At least one of these guys where the market doesn't do much. And just being ready for that, understand that, is so powerful. Why? Because when this is doing that, this is now building what? It's building energy. So when we go to break out, that's when the energy starts to release. This is the time to look for the new trade. Because now we built the energy, you want to get involved with it at that point in time. Make sense? So traders, one thing I want to do is, oh, by the way, guys, if you really enjoy this stuff, you really enjoy the way that I trade here, then you may be a really good fit for my coaching program. I have what's called a 1% group where you're actually with me every single day. And I coach you and guide you and hold your hand through this process of all these markets here. So these are some of the techniques that I actually use in my trading system. If you'd like to get access to more of actual hand holding, then I call what's called a 1% group. There's only around about 15 people in that group right now. I keep it quite small. But if you're dedicated and you're serious about this, then that second link in the description is an application form. I'm actually about to close it down. I think there's only a couple of spots left. I'm about to close it down. If you do need help, guys, and you like the way that I trade and you see this here actually makes sense for you, then book a call with me and we'll have a good chat, and we'll see if you're actually a good fit and for the actual coaching program from there. That's that second link in the description there, guys. So what I want to do, guys, is I also want to cover platinum. And the reason why is there was someone actually asked me about platinum, but as you can see, no matter what happens with any market out there, and I'm bringing up platinum, the first thing I'm going to look at is what? First thing I'm going to look at is what the energy building phases. Why? Because when the market goes through a very big vertical move for a while, eventually every market will get tired and then we go through one of these phases again. You see what I'm saying? You see how powerful this stuff is? Right? Now again, we don't know the end's going to be here. But as we get through this bit through here, right? As the market's having this big move up through here to here to here, there's the start, there's the finish. When we start to go through this bit through here, we do know, we need to be cautious, right? Or we may be getting very close towards the end of this move because we've been going up for a while. We don't know when, but it's coming soon. And then when this happens, you're not shocked because guess what? Energy using. Now we're tired. Now we're gone. See how amazing this stuff is? And why is this amazing? Because now we've gone through the energy building phase and someone actually asked me about platinum. So I'm like, what is platinum doing? Well, one, we're going through an energy building phase, right? And notice what? Notice we got too far away from the moving average, a very big energy using phase. So we're too far away from the moving average, we use a lot of energy. Now it's time for the market just to reset, refuel, and now we're going sideways. Now guess what? Now we're going sideways and now we're breaking out. So we probably need a bit more time and probably what's going to happen. When the market actually gets to the moving average, right? Remember I said before that we generally pull back to the moving average after that phase. We're probably going to do something like this here. We're probably going to continue sideways through here, wait for the moving average to catch up through there, and then we're probably getting, and then when the moving average and the market comes together, we're probably getting ready for the next move. And gold is a good example of what I'm trying to share with you. Gold's been a beautiful example of that. Look at this here. Look at this here, just beautiful, right? We get a move, we come back to the moving average first. We get a move, come back to the moving average, get a move, come back to the moving average, get a move. Right? Energy using, energy building. So, with that being said, as you can see, we actually did have a big move up. I traded this breakout here. Now we're going through this. What's called energy building phase, and there's the moving average. Here's the moving average coming up through to here somewhere. So we're probably going to get something like this here. Right? Maybe another month, maybe another couple months through there. And then we're probably going to get a breakout. When we get that, we're probably getting ready for what? Now the next move. Because we go energy using. Okay, now we're tired. Now we need a bit of time. We've been going here now for 3-4 months, just like gold did. Now we need a good couple of months, maybe more. Let's come back to the moving average. Let's refuel here, and then we're getting ready to go again. So with that being said, when we see these energy building phases, that's when I get excited because I know over the next couple months, we're probably going to break and we're probably likely to see another really big move to come. By the way, traders, if you're serious about leveling up your trading, I've opened up 10 spots to my Inner Circle coaching program. This is where I share all my best trading strategies I trade every single day. You get access to my scans that I use there all the time as well too. Every single week I do a live weekly group coaching session for the Inner Circle group, and my whole goal there is to help you become a well-rounded master trader. Emotional management, trade management, letting your profits run, cutting losses short, and all the different discipline, patience, all the different areas to help you become a well-rounded master trader. And also you get access to an exclusive committed group of all the Inner Circle group so you can communicate with them, and that's our private Inner Circle group as well too. But this is what I want you to do right now. This is only application only. We're only looking for committed traders, and if you're ready to go, then that's for you. There should be a link in the description there, or go to getjohntop.com right now. Go fill out the application form. It's only for the first 10 only, because I like to keep the group really small. So go there right now. Go to getjohntop.com right now. Go fill out the application form, and I will personally be speaking to you on the phone, and we'll go from there to see if you're a good fit for what I'm looking for. Speak to you soon, traders.